you know, how many, and I think about that ice storm that we had in 2000. And for as long as we were without power, for 21 days, when the power came on, we were just sitting in the cold, dark house, minding our business, and all of a sudden, everything popped on. And the first thing I heard from heaven was, will you thank me for at least 21 days? Will you remember this moment for at least as long as you were without your luxury of having electricity? And we do that. That miracle was in that moment. And yes, that electricity lasted, but then the joy of that moment was gone. And I think that's what these miracles were. I see them differently now after you explained that last week. It's just really changed the perspective.
And the other thing about miracles, which we haven't really talked about yet, but I think it's a very important part as well, is why he chose to do the miracle before he did teach. And he's going to spend most of his time now teaching. He will do some miracles. The miracles were not just designed to sort of jumpstart the process, though they work. The other thing is, why did he do miracles? Because he understood and wanted his disciples, us, to understand the depth of the need of humanity.
Oh, yes.
If he didn't do the miracles, you didn't see the lame man walk.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't realize how much he had suffered being a lame man. You didn't see the leper with his eyes open, and suddenly he feels some hope in life again, an ability to have a life again, a possibility of actually normal life with human beings again, a real life again for the first time. You see that look in his eyes, then you realize, what has he been suffering over the past 10 years or however much it's been? So Yeshua had to teach his disciples, and watch his disciples follow him around and watch this stuff to understand how bad human situation is, how hard people can have life, and how hurting and danger and sickness there is in the world. And if you don't understand that, then you won't want to be about the Father's business. You want to sit in ivory towers and talk about theory and be eat-throws and yell rabbit. But if you understand the hurt and the pain in people's lives, and you quit throwing out criticisms and judgments about them and say, there's the fish. What's the net? What's the net I need to kill? So Yeshua's done this. He's led us in this process, and now there's an awakening in his disciples, Peter, Andrew, James, and John, and the others that came with him, and they're there. Now Levi has joined them, Levi, the Matthew, the tax collector has joined them. There's others, and then all of a sudden, all these people who are the most broken people of humanity are following them around. Like, no privacy, no time alone. Here, everywhere you go, there's the worst hurting people of the world with the biggest crises following you around. And he said, I orchestrated this whole moment for this. And they come to this hill, or this mountain that they go to, and he says, now, all the people gathered on the bottom of the mountain, the multitudes are gathered on the bottom of the mountain, hurting, crying out, lepers and blind men and deaf people and mute and demon possessed, and they're all down there at the bottom of the mountain. And he says, now you guys come up here, disciples. Us 12 ones. Come on up here, where you get a good look. Take a good look around you at why you were here, why I'm called. Do you understand that you can't go down there with a religious attitude? You can't go down there with a sense of knowing a bunch of doctrines and theologies and having an organizational structure to beat the band. You're going to have to get yourself up. So he says, look around. He says, I'll tell you what, I'm going to prepare you to go back down there. That's what Sermon on the Mount is. The preparation of his disciples to go back down there and face those multitudes that are crying out and needing and compassion is bursting forth from God and not necessarily from us. So he's preparing us for this change that has to take place in us because we're not ready. We couldn't believe he was. It's like, we'll stand back and watch you. You just go do your thing. We'll sit and applaud. Yeah. He said, no, this is your business. You're part of the Father's business too. You're my apprentice. I got to teach you how to do this now. So he says, okay, we're going to start out with the 8 how-tos, the 8, these are the essential proof of you're on the right track and you got a chance of doing this. If you don't have these 8 things building in you, then I ain't sending you back downstairs. You can go when you're ready, but you won't be still under my authority. So there's 8 things that are proof, evidences, people you start with. The essential evidence and the speaking in tongues and filling the Holy Spirit. I've been around those hurdles. You should give us 8 essential evidences before the essential evidence. And the 8 essential evidences are, first of all, you've got to be poor in spirit. You got to not be proud, arrogant. You got to be not full of yourself. If you do that, you're going to go back down there, you're going to cause more trouble than they've already got. You're going to build a religion, but you're not going to build anything that's going to give life to them. So if you're going to bring life, then the Ashrei are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. If you want to bring the kingdom of heaven and its energy and its power and its even to their lives, you better get poor in spirit. And you can't do it by yourself. It has to happen from the inside out. So that's why David took up on top of this. And poor in spirit, you got to have the capacity to mourn and cry for people. You can't sit there with your jaundiced attitudes and your sarcasm and your cynicism and talk that doctrine. You can do that all you want. You can't do it for me, he would say. So blessed are those who mourn. We know how to mourn. We know how to, and because that's not, you can't be comforted until you mourn. You don't even know what comfort means until you have yourself mourn. Then you appreciate comfort. And you know you're a vessel of comfort, so you've got to be able to mourn with the people mourn. So he's going through this whole list, and you got to be pure in heart. Well, what I mean, I got things in my heart. I got trouble in my heart. I got pride in my heart. I got bitterness in my heart. I got woundedness in my heart. He said, no, we need to get that taken care of. Before you go back down there, you need to be at least healing, not completely healed, perhaps, but at least healing in all those areas. No oozing, gushing sores of bitterness or anger or offense. That's why we're going to get this forgiveness thing later on down there. And forgiveness is a critical tool for people in the kingdom. If you're going to release the power, you can't hold on to grudges. You can't hold on to offenses. This is critical. We haven't got there yet. So you've got to be pure in heart and get your early stuff to be pure. And I mean, not 100%, but you've got to be good and a positive trend. When it comes, sorry, well, you must be pure in heart. Why? Because then you can see God. What does it mean you can see God? You actually see the shade. No, it means everywhere you look, you see God. You see Him working. You see His goodness. You see His plan. You see things unfolding. You have to see some shape. It's not about a shape. Oh, no. So I want you to see God. If you can't see God, don't talk to people. You can't see God in them. Don't talk to them. Don't do that and try to put your ministry on them. If you don't see God in them, don't even try to think. Where's the biblical reference for that? Do you remember Jacob and Esau? Esau was a bad dude. Fleshly, arrogant, sentimental, sensuous, mean, violent, cruel. He was all this stuff. But whenever Jacob comes back from the Don of Ram, and he has to meet up with Esau before he goes back home, he goes to Esau and he says to Esau, looking upon your face, my brother, who hated him and wanted to kill him. Looking upon your face, I see the face of God. And he's just flattering him. Or through the trials at Laban's house and the difficulties of wrestling all out with evil, suddenly was able to see some stuff. Now, even in people who are externally cruel and mean and vicious and wrong in all sorts of ways, see God operating in them. And when he spoke it, it changed Esau. Okay, now you see where the biblical reference to this is? Those who are pure in heart can see God. So these 8 proofs, and blessed are you, or Ashrei, go straight from heart. You know you're on the right. Whenever people will revile you, say, you're going to go down there, and you're going to make people mad. They're not going to be able to handle your level of conversations and discussions. You'll talk about you, they'll get mad at you.
Oh, my, yeah.
Okay, so all this is going to happen, and they're going to revile you, and they're going to persecute you from my name's sake. Blessed are you, I swear, when you can be happy about that. And you can rejoice and keep doing the things you're doing, no matter how much they revile you and persecute you. That's number one. That's number 8 of all the different things. He says these are the essential signs that you're ready for ministry. Whew. So we're all taking our seats, and we're kind of shrinking back in our seats, or maybe hiding behind our chairs. And we thought it was all just about believing good stuff. Being able to sing some pretty songs. Altar shows.
Entertainment.
He said, you don't understand how bad this world's messed up. If you understand how bad this world and the people in it are messed up, then you would understand what I'm trying to do. You've got to change the whole thing, way of thinking in life. So we got to the end last week, we're all saying, brothers, that's a high standard. That's a high standard ministry that we would be these 8 essential characters operative in our lives. And other people are noticing it because that person's pure in heart. They're poor in spirit. They mourn and they look at weeping. Oh, I see, of course. Merciful. Most of those are merciful. I'll share those who can give mercy, not judgment. Who let mercy triumph for judgment. Wow, that's a high standard, not one. So, what does he say? Next. Peacemakers, blessed are the ones who build shalom wherever they go. Because why? They will be called the children of God, the Son of God. They will actually say it's like that's part of his family. How do you know? Because it calls and beats wherever you go. Calls and shalom wherever you go. Wholeness. This is wow. We just thought we had to know some truth. Or sing some songs or do some horns and do some religious duties to obey some laws. He says, no, this is about going way deep and changing who you are and becoming more like me. And I'm not ill, but glory. So, next thing he says is, and the issue is, what do the multitudes need from you? What do the raging nations need from you? What do the peoples demanding name things who are schizophrenic and paranoid delusional? What are the ones who are angry and offended at every little thing? What are the ones who are on the news all the time, shouting and screaming and trying to get everybody to be outraged about everything? Shouting and what do they need from you? What do they need from you? Not more religion. They don't need more religion from you. They need another church from you. They need something else from you. So what do they need? That you are you are the salt of the earth. He's not complimenting them. He's telling them their function. He's telling us our function. He's not saying, you're the salt of the earth. We ain't that and blanket bag chips. He said, that's who you're called to be, who you need to be for the sake of the world. The world needs you to become the salt of the earth. You will become the salt of the earth. And what is the salt of the earth? Malach in Hebrew. What is malach in Hebrew? Well, NaCl, sodium chloride for you chemical majors in malach. It has 3 major things. Has 3 impacts on its environment, particularly targeting environments. So for the salt air, we perform these 3 functions. Function number 1. Preserve things from getting worse. Keep things from getting worse. There's a process here. When you put salt on something that's in the process of decay, it slows down. That's why you salt meat in the old days. You had salt. You preserve it intact by slowing down decay and the breaking down and the deterioration is taking place normally. It is a purifying agent. It kills microorganisms that would putrefy whatever it's on. It stops that process, or at least slows it down significantly. It gives a chance to heal, in other words. So we are the salt of the earth. Our presence, our involvement, our engagement in any conversation is designed to focus upon and facilitate healing. Have a vision for healing. Have a vision, you know, it's easy. It takes no spirituality at all to have a vision for wrongdoing. To have a bill to say that's wrong. This is the Yitro methodology. What you're doing is not right. What you're doing is wrong. It takes no spirituality whatsoever to do that. If you ever question it, watch the news. Those guys are doing it. Those guys are saying what you're doing wrong, what everybody's doing wrong. Immediately know they don't know what they're talking about. They can't help themselves. They're just filling in empty spaces with words. So the issue is, and we're supposed to be going in there and saying, not everything's wrong. What we got here's a chance. I have a vision for healing. I have a vision for fixing this process. It's maybe a slow process, maybe a fast process. It's going to be according to God's time and God's way. And it might hurt a little bit. You might feel a little pinch. I'm thinking about what they told Levi, my grandson, this week as he getting his blood taken and then blood transfusions for his virus that he's got that's attacking his kidneys. And going through this process, and he said, it may pinch a little bit, Levi. Of course, it pinches like the Dickens. But he's a brave little boy. But anyway, you get the idea. It stops. You have a vision for healing, vision for fixing things. And when you lose that, you become critical and mean and judgmental and arrogant and proud. And isn't that the symptom of the disease that the world has today? And the church has today? And the synagogue has today? And the imams and the mosques have today? And the politicians have today? And the ideologues have today? And this is the symptom of the disease. These people are hard and crusty. And they are judgmental and critical and quick to spew their nonsense. He says, no. Salt. Salt is you have a vision for the healing and you apply it and you begin to stop the process. Keep it from going any further. Keep it from going any further when you're done. Now, we may not like where they are. I mean, I'm sure if all Yeshua could do, if this all the process was, he would at least have stopped the progression of the leprosy. That would have been a relief of some variety, right? As first step to stop the progression. Kind of break the cycle of the negativity here. Do you have a vision for breaking the cycle of negativity? This is like Yeshua saying, you're the salt of the earth. This is your first function, second function. And this is when it's applied to another target, food items in particular. You put salt on food. And salt brings out moisture, first thing it does. And the second thing is it brings out flavor. Now, it brings out the unpleasant things of the flavor. It masks the bitterness that would be there, or the wildness, the gaminess of that would be there. It masks the unpleasant aspects of the flavor of whatever it says. So, and it covers it. You ever seen when you cook fish in salt and a whole bucket of salt, and then it doesn't taste like fish when you get through it. It tastes like some sweet piece of heaven. And then, because it took all the wildness and the gameness and the stuff out of that, salt extracted that process out and left the moisture to be full of Floyd. So we're supposed to be doing that to people we meet. Our interactions with other people are designed to take it and cover up the nastiness of what they are emitting, bringing forth, and begin to instead cover it with the sweetness of the salt. And then let the moisture, the living water come forth out. So our presence involvement is supposed to bring out the best people and awaken the dormant potential for good in people and places and creatures, and times, and seasons, and things. Wow, this is a high standard, right? To be the salt of the earth. We haven't finished it. It's just 2 out of the 3 functions. The third function is salt is an essential nutrient. Your body needs salt. A deer's body needs salt. A cow's body needs salt. You need animals, more particularly animals need salt. Salt is a nutrient required by the body for proper functioning of muscles and of nerves. If the nervous system work right, want your muscular system to work right, you need to have a level of salt in your body. It maintains your body's fluid balance. We talk about dehydration with Darcy in here, but babies being dehydrated. So like, you gotta have a proper dehydration process, and you have something to help you keep that dehydration process flowing and going, and that's what the salt does. So our presence and our involvement, we are the salt of the earth. Our presence and our involvement, engage with people, is supposed to nurture them and strengthen them. Now, that's a good thing right there, right? Bring out the best in them and facilitate their function. You know, we used to have this conversation when I was in college. We talked about dysfunctional families. There were certain families out there. Y'all remember this? 40 years ago? Some of you do. They started talking about dysfunctional families. Like there was one in a million. Somewhere out there in your city, there's a dysfunctional family.
Somewhere out there, there's one that's not.
And what we found out towards the time as we get a look at this process is they're all dysfunctional. Families are dysfunctional. It's just a matter of degree.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of degree. And it ebbs and it flows. The dysfunction comes and goes. It gets better for a while, and it gets worse for a while. And as long as you quit trying to judge every family on the basis of are they not dysfunctional? Yes, they're dysfunctional. You are too. You are dysfunctional. Get over yourself. Your family is dysfunctional. Your marriage is dysfunctional. Your child relationships are dysfunctional. Get over yourself now that you understand that. We want to fix this, right? We want to keep doing that and blaming the other party in the relationship for being dysfunctional. You know, so we're like the wife, the husband is dysfunctional. And the husband is saying, she's dysfunctional. And the kids were saying, my parents are dysfunctional. And the parents were saying, my kids are dysfunctional. And they were all right. They were all right. They were all wrong. Because they were forgetting the one person that's most important. The one in the mirror. So we're supposed to facilitate functionality. Actually getting through life. Helping get over stuff. Offenses. And I mean, I've had the privilege of picking up my grandchildren from school. Occasion. And I used to always ask, how was school? Nobody would make that mistake. First of all, the teachers are dysfunctional, and the classmates are dysfunctional, and the cheerleaders are dysfunctional, and the coaches are dysfunctional, and the football players, the basketball players, they're all dysfunctional except for my little precious little child. So don't ask the stupid questions about how school was today. I've learned to ask more erudite questions than that. So he's like, our job as souls, we're supposed to introduce a level of turning toward functionality away from dysfunction. It's not automatic, it's not complete, it's not total, it's not bam, wham, bam, there, we all fixed. It's a matter of changing the direction. Like right now, Levi's blood, his red blood cells are being attacked by his kidneys, by the toxins out of his kidneys. So every time they take his blood, he has a lower blood red blood, which is dangerous.
Yeah.
Which is very dangerous, very disturbing. You know, what they've done transfusions, they've done medication and whatever, and he's hopefully getting over the virus. He had sort of prepares to introduce this whole process. That process is good. And now I keep watching his blood tests every day to see if his blood is getting more red blood cells. If his red blood cell count is going up, that means that it's process. It doesn't mean he's healed. It means he's fixing it. It's going in that direction. He's not getting worse. He's getting better. So that's the picture of Levi's illness right now. It's tough on grandpa, but it also is a lesson for us all to look at and say, wait a minute, this is a salt of the earth. Our job is to have a vision for them getting better and be willing to take a little bit better. Even a little bit better is not demanding everything right now at one time. Sure, I'd like to have wave my hand over Levi and maybe healthy as all get up, strong, go back and play baseball next week. But I'll take what I can get. I want to go in the right direction. Okay, seeing how this functionality issue works, functionality, fruitfulness, and well-being. Shalom. Disciples was sitting there saying, I don't know, can we check out? I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I don't know if I'm qualified. And I'll see a big smile on Russell's face. I just picture in my mind, a big smile on Russell's face. Oh, you thought you were going to be qualified? You thought qualifications had something to do with it? You thought that was what it's not just about you. No, the reason I'm pointing all this stuff out is because you need me. You desperately need me. You need not some image of me on a stained glass window. You don't need a picture of me on a cross hanging down the crucifix. You need a real me. You need my teachings and you need my miracles and you need who I am. So this is what he said. You are the salt of the earth. He said, but listen to me. Folks, you're going to go back down there. And when you get back down there, or maybe 10 weeks after you get down there, or 2 weeks after you get down there, you've lost your saltiness. Anybody lost their saltiness?
It's weird because you want to preserve the preservative.
We have to preserve the preservative, right?
It itself is the preservative, but you've got to preserve that.
But I think saltiness.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until one day something happened and you said, you hear yourself talk. And you say, who was that dysfunctional person that said that? And you realize it was your dysfunctional person that said it. Or did they? Well, so we see this issue of the salt. But if your salt has lost its savor, then what?
It's not fit for the dome.
It's not fit. And it's all good for nothing but be thrown out and trodden under men. And I always thought, to myself, that's not worth very much. And the thing is, have you ever been thrown out and trodden under men? Think about that for a minute. Have you ever been persecuted? Have you been threatened? Have you been hated? Have you been maligned? Have you been accused of things, ranted for? There's a reason that happened. And it's not the badness in the person doing it. The evil lying in your heart. The reason you're being cast out and trodden under the feet of men is because you've lost. This is your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to stay with the preservative, and to keep going back for more. So that's just one of the similitudes. The other one was, you are the light of the world. Adjust. You are the light of the world. Before you go back down, you need to know what you are the salt of the earth, now you're the light of the world.
Can I ask you a quick question about Malak? Whenever you say that, I thought of Malak Haolam. I thought about Malak instead of Malak, and they're so similar. Is there something about them being similar, or is it just really just two different words?
Okay, so what Marcy's taught me, the Hebrew word malak is a noun. Very close, matter of fact, virtually identical to the Hebrew verb malak. And that comes from the word melech, which is king, or melech, which is angel, messenger. So what Mary was asking is, what's the relevance, what's the picture of salt, malak, as opposed to what it relate to messengers of God, kings God has appointed and established in a position of authority, and you should understand quickly there is no difference. We are to be like kings and messengers, like the angel messenger. Now, we may not fly with wings, we may not sit on the throne, but that's the kind of impact we're supposed to have.
Because isn't that interpreted as ruler too, about
Well, Malak is a
what we let rule us on Shabbat?
Yeah.
With regards to that aspect of it too, is if we were, when that becomes our ruler with regard to what we're paying homage to.
And the idea of a Malak is that a Malak is an appointed representative of the people. King, we call it like Haley. An appointed representative of the people. But that is a servant role. That's not a authoritative, punishing role. So, in other words, if you are a Malak, you are a representative of someone else and you can't do your own will. You have what's the French call noblesse oblige. You have an obligation, responsibility that goes with your opportunity and leadership. So do we. So yes, we are like salt that we're the mouth of the earth. And we now been given these positions of authority, these opportunities to be a blessing to people's lives, bring salt into their lives, but we carry a responsibility to do it. That's why people say, well, these people are so proud and so arrogant. Like, people have got to never be proud or arrogant. There's no place for it. We have to be humble of all people. And by the time you think you should have anything to be proud of, you know, pride day or pride movement, or it's like, no, I don't want a pride day or pride movement. I want a humble day and a humble movement. That's what we need. Okay, so he says, if you want to lie in the world, he says, a city that is set on a hill. In other words, multi-layered, multi-spectrums of waves of divine energy. If you can see it. I love these people, back in the 60s and 70s, they developed this system where you have electronics and you play music, and the music would drag out. You can see these images that rise and fall, or just in colors and all this stuff. I think it's psychedelic stuff, but you can see music. You know, it's kind of weird to see music, but you could see music. You see the energy pulsing in the guitars, drums, and the voices, the vocals. It's like, wow, that's really there. We didn't see that. That's kind of the way it is, the energy.
Like what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah, exactly. So, so here we have this multi-layers, piercing, pulsing, waves, spectrum of energy, pulsing through space, whether you see it or whether you don't see it, impacting people and places and things every moment, but they don't even know what's touching them. I mean, if you could just see in this atmosphere right now, if you could open, somehow God could open our eyes and see the forces that are at work.
Wow.
In this room, and his voice circulating around the room, and looking for a place to land. And Yeshua's beauty and his magnificence. And if you want to think about the demonic forces and all the forces that we can't see that are happening right now, this is what he's talking about. Light. It's something that everybody knows about, but nobody understands. You're supposed to be like that. Nobody understands you because they know you're of another world. You have this pulsing energy that doesn't stop. And it transforms everything you touch it, but you don't know why. There's no real reason for it. It doesn't seem like. Light exists in but does not belong to the world. It's in but not of. It's an emanation of energy source in a different realm. The beauty realm, the throne room of the Most High God. Now, light affects human beings in many ways. You don't realize how much light affects you until you walk in darkness. Have a few days in the dark, and then you get close to light, and you realize suddenly it changes your mood. You never realized light affected your mood. There's a whole syndrome, medical syndrome, about the effect of being deprived of light. What it does to the mood and attitude of the person, and even their body starts to slow down. Its operations, their systems begin to slow. Light, you don't even know this is happening. It's happening all the time. And darkness, it allows it to awaken because you find out what happened to it.
Oh, what about fire? Fire makes light. And I was thinking about that the other day about, we heat our houses with wood, and have fire. God is a consuming fire. And he has light in the morning. And how they made fire before you throw two sticks together, make friction to make light. And fire is good, but water is relaxing. But when it's controlled, it's good. But when it's out of control, it's devastating. So,
Yeah, that's true. What Elaine is referencing here is what I call the phenomenon of science, or maybe another way to put it would be images or metaphors. It's kind of like, heard about PTSD. Soldiers come back from war. And soldiers come back from war and they have these dreams or flashbacks. And the flashbacks, they see images and they hear things and they kind of freak them out, whatever. It affects them in terms of something physically happening to them. They see this image and it begins to do things within them. So it is with images like fire. We see fire and we have PTSD, post-traumatic response to it, either good or bad. We think about fire and what it does to us, how it warms us, how it lights the room, and it does. And we also think about how it can burn us and we get out of control. And we begin to have this PTSD, post-hypnotic suggestion process that God has ordained power of His Word to do that. So, hope that, fine. So, it influences your mood. The other thing about light is, light encourages, we think about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process of which growth. Light comes in, activates the growth potential in a plant or a cell, and it begins then to reduce part of the light and produce itself, reproduce itself. And this is why we have leaves on trees and flowers grow and stuff like that, and grass grows out of the ground, and human beings keep reproducing themselves. This is what's happening by virtue of the issue of photosynthesis. Now, I want to focus on the second part of that, which is synthesis. Synthesis means coming together. It being able to collaborate and work together. You understand what light does? You are the light of the world. We enable people to work together that don't work together, that don't get together, that will not get together, that don't like together. It's not us. It's the magnetism and the power of the draw of God. And He draws all things within His gravitational pull.
I was just gonna say, as an artist, I tend to think of it because we talked a lot about light in art school and what it does. And, one of the biggest things in rendering three-dimensional shapes on a piece of paper is lighting. Circle is just a circle until you add some shadows and some light to it, and then it becomes a sphere. It becomes a representation of something three-dimensional. And a lot of my job with what I do is been on getting lighting to match between two pictures. And if the lighting doesn't match, it'll look pasted, it won't look like it fits. So I always think when you talk about light in this room, that I'm supposed to be reflecting God's light, and if I don't do that, there's not gonna be harmony, it's not gonna fit.
Very good. I hope you're seeing these are sort of general principles Yeshua is trying to use to say, don't really. And the tool that they use is called the Isnet. Isnet is this two-bladed, very sharp like a scalpel that is used for this very delicate operation. And so God's words, Yeshua's teaching is like the Isnet. The covenant of Jeremiah, the covenant of references Ezekiel, that he will circumcise their hearts. Moshe told he would circumcise their hearts, and he's sending Yeshua to be the Moed, which is the one who does the circumcision. And he's used the Ismail, which is this tool, so they go then into our heart, cut away the excess tissue, the hard, crusty tissue on the outside, it's external and more sensitive, more real. So that's what he's doing. He's using his words, his teaching as an Ismail. So now, in my relationship to the Torah is my Ismail. The Torah is what I'm using to cut away the excess flesh and get down into your heart and make it sensitive and pure and ready for reproduction. Okay, so he says, do not think. We shouldn't just stop right there. Just don't think. Don't think. Outside of wake up and say, I don't want to think today. I probably shouldn't. Do not think something. He says, there's certain thing I don't want you to think. Do not think that I came to destroy or abolish the law or the prophets. This is one Christianity gets so wrong. It's funny, he says, I didn't have to do that. And they said, that's what he came to do. I mean, it's like, this one I never got this. I never ever got it. I read this. It's one of the first things I read when I got involved with the Jesus movement. I read this and said, and then people say that he did away with it. He abolished it. It's like, he said he didn't do that. How do you say you follow him when you exactly contradict exactly what he said he wasn't going to do? Okay, so don't think. Please don't. Hey, you're thinking. Taught you thinking. I taught you out there thinking again. Don't be, don't step off in the silence. Don't charge it to the boy. Don't be thinking stuff like that. Those stupid stuff. I'm not gonna do away with blackies, man. How am I gonna do a circumcision without blackies, man? I gotta have this blade. I got this sharp blade that's able to cut through and pierce into the heart of things, and get to the real tissue, get down to the real thing. I gotta have blackies, man. So I'm not doing away with the Torah. Tell the leaders, tell the preachers that he didn't do it. You think him doing it. So he says, I didn't come to do that. I didn't come to destroy or abolish the law or the prophets. I didn't start a new religion in the Bible. I didn't do one that starts with Matthew 1:1.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not what I came to do. Please understand it before you start, before you write there and start talking to people, don't tell them that. Don't tell them how to tell them the Torah. Oh, God forbid. I can't circumcise their heart to do that.
We were talking about lawlessness on, in Torah Club. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. And it just really hit me hard how many churches are, because lawlessness equals Torahlessness. And how many churches are Torahlessness. It's just like mind blowing how many churches have just turned their backs on Torah. How can they even, I can't wrap my hand around, how can they even worship the one who became flesh without? I'm sorry.
It's a painful process for us to go through, but I understand because I have been in that group who did not have their eyes open to see that process. And Paul is right, the same thing that happens every time. Somebody a commentary on Paul. Without going back to Yeshua and his teaching, and when he said, I'm not going to do that, they said, he must be come to do that. And they mean well, it's their house. And what I can say is this, I believe that, I have this feeling, a sensation, belief at least, that even when they teach that, they know better themselves. They don't know off on top of it, they know in their heart. That can't be the case. It's like if you go to, you got a 5-year-old like Levi, and occasionally he wants something really bad. He wants to go to McDonald's to get a hamburger.
So you call me a 5-year-old.
If you're older than the third grade, whatever, they get rid of it. So, Grandpa has the privilege of not being bound by the restrictions of parents.
Yeah, yeah.
So occasionally, I have been known to pull through those Golden Arch driveways. With Levi smiling from ear to ear. And when I order the Happy Meal with the burger with no veggies on it, and I could say no French fries. Well, I might be killed. I might get rich. I might do that. I could theoretically say that. It wouldn't be a Happy Meal without French fries.
Well, now you got choices of apples.
Well, maybe they get a chance. But yeah, I have something there. You're right. McDonald's will give you the choice of fruit or something like that. But the point of it is, you could pick and choose to say, well, I want this, but I don't want that. But if you sure it's a Happy Meal, you get the whole package.
Oh, that's cool.
And the whole package is the Torah.
Yeah.
It's Him, and it's the Torah, and it's the living water, and the Holy Spirit. It's the whole package. I don't know if there's a Torah. I had thought about it. So the Holy One of Yeshua said, I didn't come to destroy it. I came to make it full and sail, and now can catch all of the breezes and can flow in the fullest potential it possibly can. So you think that's destroyed? No, that ain't destroyed. That is the opposite, absolute opposite of destroyed. I came to make it mean more than it's ever meant before, and go deeper and have more relevance in the world than ever before. So I said, well, surely I say to you here, I want to make sure that if you didn't catch it the first 2 minutes, let me say it so the third grader can understand.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. So the 5-year-old can understand. He said, I say to you until heaven and earth have passed away.
That's pretty good.
Not one little phrase, not one little translation mark, not one little mark on the page is going to disappear or pass from the Torah until it's all full of fast. So I remember reading this and Jesus of the days, he said, okay, so are the heavens and the earth still here? And I looked around. Okay, the earth's still here. How about that? They're still there. And it's like, this didn't take a rocket scientist to me. And I never really fit into the people who said it was all over with. I never could understand that process. I get what you're trying to say, but I don't know why you're trying to say it. And he said, no, the heavens are still here. And the earth is still here. And as long as the heavens and the earth are still here, so far, and its fullness without a single dot or two being taken away from it. Ceremonial law had been taken away from it. Nothing's been taken away from it. Not one word, not one command, not one instruction has been taken away from it. Nothing has been taken from it. It's all whole and all, and it's just an it's an easy man. It is designed to use to cut away the heart and so many portions of your heart. So, wait.
Say about that is cross my T's and dot my I's. That's not what it means. So until we not in Hebrew, you know, but I'm from a picture saying.
Yeah, and people say, well, Yeshua did it so we don't have to. But did Yeshua fulfill the Torah? Did he do everything in the Torah? Okay, so was Yeshua ever a wife? Having a every month cycle? Having to deal with. No, he didn't fulfill the Torah because he was not able to fulfill the Torah. He's not that. So there's so many more things I could go into. Thousands of examples about he couldn't possibly have done that. So he didn't fulfill the Torah. That way people want to say it.
Yeah. You know,
It was his purpose. It was his mission. His mission was to do what he could do. And to bring it as use it forward as it's told true. So he says this, he says, I say to you, here's another secret. Get it now. We're gonna end with this. It's sort of our work we're gonna start with. We're gonna end with it. It says, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees. That's a big unless. We'll talk about why maybe someday, why that's a big unless. It's not like we're going to, unless your righteousness exceeds that level, the bar that they have set. And it's been set all around by scribes and Pharisees. Unless your righteousness goes above that level, now you ever had to think about Highland or pole vaulting in track? You know, they set the bar up there, and you're right, the goal is to get above the bar. And not knock the bar down, not hit the bar, not go into the bar, go above the bar, clear the bar. That's what we're supposed to do, is clear the bar, and the bar, big high bar up there, of the righteousness of scribes and Pharisees. Talk about that a little bit. But he said, unless you exceed that, you will not by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. He didn't say you're not going to heaven. Remember, his whole mission is, Yeshua now, come, make Yeshua, make repentance to the English said, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. What are we supposed to bring? What is the Father's business? The fishing business is all about bringing the kingdom of heaven to real people on earth in this day, this hour, this moment. People need boats, or we're supposed to be bringing the kingdom of heaven. So unless you have righteousness exceed that of the scribes and Pharisees, you get over that boat, you won't be bringing the kingdom of heaven to nobody.
confused me because I never thought that they really had the bar.
That's the deception.
That's
That's the
that's
right.
yeah.
That's the right.
It's like they weren't really.
Right.
I guess I don't understand what he's saying there, because I never looked at the scribes and the Pharisees as really having a standard of righteousness in their own eyes. Is that what I'm missing?
Yes,
Okay.
that's your rabbit. That's your rabbit line. And the reason is because the Pharisees and the scribes were a response to a movement of assimilation among the Jewish people. Happened back in the days of the Greeks, back in the days of the Hellenists, back in the days of what we read about in Hanukkah, from back in 200 or 165 BC. From that point forward, what happened is that there was a syncretism, a growing together of the Jewish, the Hebrew, with the nations. And again, they looking like the nations, smelling like the nations, talking like the nations, acting like the nations, eating like the nations, drinking like the nations, talking like the nations. And the Pharisees came along and says, enough of that. We have to be who we are. We're called by God to this beautiful purpose. We're talking about the three things in the first part of the session today. We talk about being the Segula Ali, the special treasure people. We can't be like the nations if we're going to be Segula Ali. We can't take on their titles. We can't take on their name. We can't use their language. We can't use their ways of thinking about things. We can't use their labels. We can't do that stuff. We can't behave their way. We can't take on their restrictions of Sabbath and religion. We can't do that. So the Pharisees stood up and said, enough. Enough. We have to be who he said that. So how do we get there? So the only thing they had to know was the Torah. So they began to dig into the Torah. They began to read the Torah and talk about the Torah. And yes, from time to time, I'm sure they got off like Yitro did. And what we all think of the rabbi is that that's all they were, just a bunch of legalists. That's not what they were. As a matter of fact, he's got two of them are part of this group. Nicodemus. Why would he take Nicodemus if he's such a pervert? He's a Pharisee. Jared goes with the bear of faith. And who's great? He's going to be buried. Who's going to fund his time of interment until he's resurrected from the dead? Then somehow he hates these people because they're evil? No, they got a high standard, a very high standard, way higher than the other person. Way up there. They understand, they know where the secrets of life are. They may misinterpret them like we're supposed to do. But there is a scribe, and the scribe is one who writes this stuff. Who actually has his hand engaged in the holy words. Say the lie of the rabbit lie of the church is that these people are evil. They're not perfect. They make mistakes. But they are way higher than normal folk. The bar is up here because they at least understand who they are and why they're here. And they may do it imperfectly, and sometimes they may do it badly. But this is all part of the growth process. So he says, unless your righteousness exceeds the level of this high bar. And of course, if you think about it, these guys look good. And some of them were more, quote, righteous. And this isn't about piety. This is about building a foundation upon which the nation can be built. Righteousness. Righteousness is about something you can build on, something that's level, straight, square, long, something that actually will hold weight, that will allow the weight of the things that are going to be built upon it to come forth and stand up under the pressure of the weight of it. Force them. This is what they were. They were there. They were available. They just had some issues too, like everybody else. So the one issue that they're going to deal with, I'm going to deal with them later. The issue is me. Their issue was going to be with him. Could they take this that? Would they submit themselves to the easy to and do it and go take the Torah, not just the external, but to the internal, so the heart. Okay, so this is who they are. This is the issue. Let's examine. Spend the last moments we have here, maybe talking about this first. What's the qualitative difference? What's the real difference between the level of Pharisees and Sadducees and scribes versus the level he wants to stand? He calls walls of stand. How can we tell the difference? What is the difference? You understand my question? If he wants us to be higher than that bar, in what way? How do we get higher? Now, I know the temptation of the Christian teachings has always been for years, decades, maybe centuries, is to say, we're just going to ignore the bar altogether. We're going to take the bar in. So therefore, since we took the bar in, it doesn't matter. We can get anything we need to find. But if the bar's still there, you got to get over it. Like the high jump, they start raising that bars and it deeper the whole thing. And he's looking at the bar, that's higher than my head. How am I going to get over that bar? And you just somehow get there and try to do it. You flip your body, you keep your leg back up, and you bend over the middle. Somehow get over and you learn, okay, but you had to have something to measure against. So how are we going to get higher than that bar? What makes us higher than the bar of Pharisees of the scribes? Any thoughts? The heart issue. Now, obviously, we're going to get that. It's a whole set theory of his teaching, and we said that earlier. The central point of the teaching, if you get to the geographical center of this whole Sermon on the Mount, chapters 5 through 7, is about 6:19. And 6:19 says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart is as well." That's the center point of the teaching, the fulcrum point of the entire teaching. So yes, like Marcia's saying, it all has to start in the heart. And it has to be the application of the Ismail, the Torah, into the heart, the tissue, and make it into the Ashrei, and have the 8 Ashrei characteristics that are the essential evidence that we are actually moving in the right direction. When we begin to function, we begin to see ourselves functioning as salt and as light, not just we see ourselves functioning that way. But that's the impact of having come to the environment.
The circumcision, as we talked about, the picture that we get in circumcision is that one-time cutting away of the flesh, right? Because we're looking at it from a natural carnal perspective, but it's not necessarily a one-time cutting away of the flesh, right? It's a continuation of cutting away of the flesh, and it happens at different times, right?
Absolutely.
I remember when this for me was a really deep cut, right? So when I went through the surgery and all that, and I came out, and I finished my whole conversation with the Lord. When I got back to my job, this is just an analogy of what I feel like it looks like in the real sense of it. And so before then, if I could just go back and just kind of before the surgery and before the stroke and all that, even though I was coming here, there was still quite a bit of religion guiding my process, right? And telling me what to do and how to think. Even how to interact with people. And I work on a particular job where my responsibility is to, as they call it, humanity, is to keep the environment safe for people who are using our services and growing within that services and going to group and taking in whatever. My role is to keep their environment safe so that they can process within that environment. And then I went down, right, with the stroke and all that. Yeah. When I came back, I had new assignments, right? I say that I died on the table because it was just that serious, right? My family was dying. I got pictures of it, and it scared them time I look at them. They didn't show me just supposed to make me more happy. So I'm like, let's look at that again. But when they showed it to me, I had chips running everywhere in my head. Anyway, it was holes in my head. It was ugly, right? And so I'm like, I'm not really getting encouraged by it. But I died, right? And so when that happened, when I came back to the job, if this could be an announcement, when I came back to it, before I left the job, I was all over the floor. I worked all over the floor. I was a superhero, so to speak, to describe. The company came down and said, since Chauncey left this place and Chauncey, blah, 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 blah. And they were upset about that. They were like, we got to do something, da-da-da. And I was everywhere. All the religious stuff.
Yeah.
When I came back, the company said, because of what has happened to you, you can no longer be that person. So your assignment has changed. So instead of being all over the floor and being the superhero and being the religious person you've been, we're going to ask you to do something different. You got two really important things we need you to do. One, we need you to establish a visitation system where the people who have family members that are in this hospital can visit their family. We want you to set that up and monitor that. So my first assignment, post-surgery, post-death, was to create an environment where families can reconnect to their loved ones.
They're dysfunctional loved ones.
Number one.
Probably dysfunctional because of their family.
That's-
Okay.
I hear them say that. Number two, this is like, they said when patients come here, most of them are coming from hospitals and places where they didn't have proper attire. They don't have anything to wear, so it's embarrassing for them to be in the community of the others, and they don't have proper dressing. So here's what we want to do. We want you to create a clothes closet for people who come here without clothes, without deodorants, without hygiene. They can come to the closet. So I had to create a closet. And now every time I go to the unit, they're like, is that Mr. Johnson? We need clothes. And because they're open to me addressing their needs, I can also offer a Bible. When I come down, the CEO said to me, Chauncey, our company is not going to make it without God being involved. I was a little shocked because I never had a CEO say it to me before.
Monroe and God.
She said, can you, from this point forward, start having a spirituality group on the units?
Oh, wow. Doors open.
So now, post-surgery, I get to live, and we'll probably be able to introduce that. They call it the answer, but we'll probably be able to introduce. I get to live in this character. Now, I'm humble. I understand what it means to be peacemaker, to bring peace, to bring shalom into those communities. I also understand what it means to serve individuals, and that places me in a position to introduce them.
Yeah. Wow.
I need to make that introduction to people who supposedly are not cognizant enough, are not mentally healthy enough to even understand what you're saying. But I've had people come to those Bible studies and leave out with a sheet of paper that they use to teach them how to pray. All right? So somehow, for me, my evidence that I had gone through and had made it to a place where God could use me after that surgery was the assignment that came afterwards. Here's your new assignment.
In the sense of looking at this from a career standpoint or a physical or worldly standpoint, it would look like Tony got a demotion. He was on top of the world. Now he's down there putting the clothes closet. And having a spirituality, or whatever the heck that means. And to the kingdom standpoint, he just got promoted. Uh-oh. Big memo.
Don't that means cold.
Oh, he said promotion prior to the fall, or to the ugly fall. Before the fall, corporate had recruited me to come to corporate. And they were watching me so they could bring me to corporate. And then this happened, and corporate pulled back, and the company reassigned. And this was my new assignment. right? Bible study and clothing those who come without clothing.
Righteousness.
Real quick, to me, this is the perfect example. Perfect example of going from the Pharisee to Sheila.
Yeah,
Okay, so Marcy is drawing the side.
We just finished that letter,
Okay,
and the letter is a picture of two different things. It's the side, and it's, represents a hook, which is what the fishermen would use, or.
Yeah, it's always good.
Okay, so this is the letter that we just finished up with. It's going to be a year and a half just studying 22 letters. That's how much intensity we're studying. So, this letter is Pisani, and it represents, a hook or, something that a hunter would use, which is what the Lord does. He is seeking us. He is in hot pursuit of us. He is a fisher of men. But it also, the other picture of it is a humble man on his knees with his hand raised in prayer.
Yeah.
And so when Tony just told his story of coming through death, and now he's humble and he's serving, this is what righteousness is. It's the foundation of which all things in the kingdom are built, is this picture. And it touched me so much. I told him, I gotta draw this now, because this is the picture in just one simple letter of the story that you just told about what God's everything and what he's doing. So he's taking away, and you've told this before a few weeks ago about how when people were talking to you, how you had to relearn. And we talked very briefly about going back to the beginning, going back to the foundation and remembering what is the foundation. What sometimes we have to hit those basics again. We have to go back over what has been built up is not worthy of the foundation. I've had to do that, and I'm still walking through that. It even made mention sometimes some things that we've learned have just got to be torn down. The things that we've held precious to, the things that we've revered and honored and built and fashioned our whole lives around have not been what God said, have not been how He said it or what He meant or the intention of his words. And so we have to strip those down. And sometimes when those walls come down, we get hit by a brick or two and it leaves a scar, but those scars show us I'm still alive. I made it through. I'm still here. I still want to pursue being the salt. I still want to be the light in the world. I still want to be my light. I still want to represent His kingdom. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for fighting through. Thank you for letting God continue to fulfill His purpose in you. And yes, to the world, it may look like He's downsized you, but not when you see that. Not when I see that. That's not what I see. That's not what I. Yeah. And how you're confident, you know.
oh, we floating in. So the design is talk about as the first letter of a three-letter word is being Zedek, which is righteousness. Unless you're Zedek, unless your righteousness precedes that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not know what is near the kingdom of heaven. And he says one more verse because I left out. Remember therefore, brethren, one of the least of these my commandments, my instructions, and teaches men to do so. See? Shall be called the least. And the kingdom of heaven, but whosoever does them and teaches them, he will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. And that's where our mission right now flows. Now we're up on top of the mountain, looking down and seeing the need and the multitudes below. And the calling of the show up on our hearts and on our lives and say, oh, every one of your instructions we need to apply to the level of the heart. Not through some theoretical, abstract way of doing things. Not through some critical or judgmental way of looking at other people and judging their lives. But how can we bring the light and help pieces in those words into play in each individual's life? That will make us not like we're seeking a promotion.
Yeah.
But it needs to have an impact in the community. We're designed to have this impact. Carrie, I'll be real. Hey, I'll make sure you work out here. Marcy, I'm here in program reports. I'll wait for Karen.
I love freedom.
Okay, you got three, no problem. Hey, it's anniversary. So we did birth from grandson. Getting back from home, like say back on the baseball field, back to the London. And for them all that say for it back. I'll pray for you, you'll pray for us. And bless, we are a part of the kingdom of heaven. We get a chance to be privileged, yet we have the responsibility. Aiden, like she would told us, and coming this disciples. Amen.
But shalom.